And welcome to the Infogol Football Betting Podcast, the first of a brand new season. Not that the last season finished a long time ago, but we've got more things to focus on with the 2021 campaign getting underway this weekend in Premier League, Championship, Eredivisie, which is now being covered on the Infogol app, and La Liga. So we're going to get stuck in straight away to the outright bets. We're going to take a pick, really. You can go anywhere you want across Europe, Liam. What's your best outright bet for the upcoming season?
I've gone for Watford to win the Championship. I just think their squad's miles better than anyone else in the division, really. After the only team that comes close is Norwich. I know we love Brentford from an underlying numbers standpoint, but I mean, I think the quality will just shine through. The ownership means that they can bring in like talent from all over the world, really. I mean, they've got Luis Suarez coming in from La Liga.
Not that Luis Suarez from
La Liga 2, yeah, the other one. An old Purvis Estupinan from Osasuna. I mean, he was getting linked with some top clubs in Europe after a good performance this year. I think people like Ben Foster I'm not sure if Troy Deeney's going to stay, but they've just got too much talent. Ismail Assar. I know a lot of them are out for the weekend game against Middlesbrough, but I just can't see him being anywhere outside the top two, really. I know we had him ninth in our Infogol XG table last season. I mean, it was mostly because just not finishing chances. They scored 36 goals from 53 expected goals, and with someone like Luis Suarez coming in, I think that'll improve massively. So if thing is anywhere near that level, will demolish the Championship, I think, really. But at 8.4, I think it's a great bet.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Made a really good point there. The fact that last season, their process was fantastic in the Premier League, and it was just a lack of clinical finishing. If they continue in a similar vein, I think that they've got a really good chance of bouncing straight back. Stephen, what have you got down as your best outright bet this week?
I'm going to stay in the Championship, and I'm going to go with Stoke to finish in the top six. They're becoming a bit of an enigma last season. Very good home side. Posting up some good underlying numbers, but away they just struggled with the fourth worst away team in the Championship, and they created just an average of 1 expected goals per game. Benek Afobe comes back from loan from Bristol City. I think he'll be a reasonable addition. I know he's been a frustrating player to follow. Sam Vokes up front as well, and they've signed Stephen Ward, and John Obi Mikel's came in, so I think that's some good experience. At 2.63, I think it's a good bet. And it'll be exciting to see if they can rid themselves of their form away from home and become a decent side this season.
Yeah, I think they were one of the biggest underperformers in the Championship last season based on unexpected goals in a relegation battle for most of the campaign before obviously improving under Michael O'Neill. I think very fair selection. And as for me, I'm going to stick in the top six market, but go up to the Premier League. And I really like the look of Wolves. Since coming up from the Championship, they've ranked as the fifth best team on expected goals in both campaigns and been unfortunate to finish only seventh. Nuno Espirito Santo's side, one of the best defences in the league last season, and that was while having to combat playing Thursday and Sunday, having a long Europa League campaign. So this time around, no European football. I know that they've lost Matt Doherty. Many people are suggesting that that's a key player that has been lost, and that could well be the case. He's well suited to Wolves' system, but they've got the budget and the infrastructure, and obviously they know quite a few people in Portugal to be able to bring in a few replacements. So Wolves, for me, at the prices, I think they're around 3.15 for a top six finish in the Premier League. I think that is a bit of an insulting price, really, given the fact that both Arsenal and Spurs, who were so poor last season, according to the underlying numbers, are odds on. So there are three favourite outright bets. You can read all of our outright bets for all of the new leagues, and all the season previews are available on infogol.net. We've got a few more coming up next week as well, with Italy and Germany both getting underway, and obviously the introduction of the Portuguese Primeira Liga. So keep your eyes on the Infogol Twitter feed, the Infogol Facebook feed, Instagram feed, and infogol.net. And don't forget to download the free Infogol app. This is the Infogol Football Betting Podcast, and ready for the new season, we've really improved our app, bringing in some excellent autumn editions, which now provide you with player XG on your phone and being able to see all of the updates. Download the free football app. On to this weekend's football then, the first weekend of 2021. Stephen, what is your nap where are you going for your nap this weekend?
I'm going to go for the Premier League, and I'm going to go for both teams to score in Crystal Palace and Southampton at Selhurst Park. Palace were in horrendous form towards the end of last season. They really struggled. And my personal opinion, I thought I'd back them to go down this season. But now I'm thinking maybe not. Signed Eze from QPR. It's a reasonable signing. Below Hodgson, they probably will still play the same way. It'll be interesting how they utilise him. Southampton, on the other hand, ended last season very, very well. We all know that. They beat Manchester City, looked really good under Hasenhüttl. And Danny Ings, that man, he was on fire last season. He scored 22 goals from 16.64 XG, averaging 0.53 XG per average game. And although he didn't get involved for England that much in the recent internationals, I think he's going to be scoring lots of goals again this season. So I can see a high-scoring game at Selhurst Park, even though it's the first game back, and I'm going for both teams to score at 1.9.
Yeah, I think it's a decent price. Many people probably will be looking at that, thinking that Crystal Palace will play a defensive-minded game, but given the signs that they have made, the lack of Eze coming in, be interesting to see if Hodgson does budge from that 3 holding midfielders that he does tend to play. Liam, where are you going? What's your nap this weekend?
Stephen's not going to like this, but as a Borough fan, I'm going to love it. I'm going to go West Ham to beat Newcastle at 2.22 on the Betfair Exchange. There's quite a bit of turmoil this week with them, but
as is the case with every West Ham season.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Usually you do with transfers as well, or ownership at least. And although they have got in turmoil, I don't think it'll affect them on the pitches this week really. And at the end of last season, they dragged themselves out of trouble. They were really good after the break. Project Restart, they were averaging 1.73 expected goals for a game and 1.28 expected goals against per game, which is like a far cry from, we were saying earlier, the first third of the season, they were the worst defence in the league. So David Moyes has really brought them on over the last few months, really. And I think we had them at sixth best team in Project Restart. So
that's right, yeah.
Underlying process. So I think a mass improvement there. As for Newcastle, I mean, they were...
Be careful what you say, Liam.
They were terrible, really terrible. The bottom of our expected points table for last season, which, considering how poor Norwich were, it's pretty bad. And away from home, averaged less than 1 XG per game, which is very worrying. Although I'm pretty optimistic about the signings they've made, but they just need time to settle in, really, I think. So I've got West Ham to win. I just want to add about Mikel Antonio's numbers after he's got 8 goals. I think it was around 7 XG, but it was 0.83 XG per game per average match. So So he was on fire, and I think he's going to start off the season the same way. I think he's about 6-4 to score any time. So that'll be a good bet as well, I think.
Yeah, that looks really interesting. And if you wanted to, you can combine the two. Antonio to score, West Ham to win. You get a decent price on the same game multi. But yeah, it is really good for West Ham. And obviously, Antonio keeping Sebastian Haller, who's a £40 million signing on the bench. So yeah, interesting game. And apologies, Stephen, but yeah, we're not really like Newcastle at Infogol based on expected goal numbers. As for my nap, I'm going to dip into the Championship. I think you've got 2 teams meeting in Barnsley and Luton, who survived relegation on the last day of last season. Obviously, Barnsley did it in spectacular fashion, scoring a last minute winner at Brentford, promotion chasing Brentford to survive. While both of them scraped out of the relegation zone, Barnsley's underlying numbers throughout that stretch were far superior to Luton's. They performed like a top half team ever since Gerhard Struber took charge. As for Luton, Nathan Jones took over during the break. And although they picked up quite a few points and lost only once after the hiatus, their underlying numbers were still that of a relegation team, and they were fortunate eventually to stay up. If those teams continue performing at the same level heading into this new season, then the price of 2.14 about a Barnsley win is extremely good value. And I do think that Struber's got them well organised and well oiled and really ready and raring to go for this new season. So 2.14 Barnsley win is my nap. Should we just quickly run around again just to... what was yours?
Yeah, I'm going for Crystal Palace, both teams to score against Southampton.
Yeah, I've got West Ham to win 2.22 on the Betfair Exchange.
And I'm Barnsley at 2.14. A reminder that if you download the free Infogol app or visit infogol.net, you can see all of the best analyst verdicts ahead of the weekend. So that's basically the best value bet from across all of the matches, all the leagues that we cover. It is free to download, so definitely go to the App Store or the Play Store and get that downloaded. So this next section is focusing on lay-in, which is something that you can do on the Betfair exchange, basically backing against something to happen. So basically is the same as a double chance bet, but when instead of using a full stake, you only would lose a certain amount of stake based on the odds that you backed or laid against. So Liam, talk us through your lay of the week.
Yeah, I've gone for Chelsea. I know there's a lot of hype behind them, and rightly so, I think. I mean, some tremendous signings, but I think Hakim Ziyech is out, and Pulisic might be as well. And if you look at the Chelsea's away form last season, it wasn't really that impressive. It was like a mid-table process, really. I think we were just above, just in the positive for expected goal difference. Although they're travelling to Brighton, which I think you might agree at least, but we were really impressed with them last year, and it didn't really show in the league table at the end of 15th, I think. But even from the season before, Graham Potter's really improved them. It'd be interesting to see if they move to a back three this weekend. I know I'm pretty excited to see Tariq Lamptey as well on the right as a right wing back if they do that. But I know they lost Aaron Moy, which is a pretty big loss. I think he was impressive for them last season, but they were I'd say a mid-table team as well last season for process, and it's a pretty tough start for Chelsea, I think, and it takes time to gel for these players. And although I do think they'll be in the top tier quite easily, I just think it'll take a bit of time, and I know a couple of them are out, so I think this is the weekend to go against them.
Yeah, quite a few of the players as well have been on international duty. You don't know how much of a toll that might have taken on them. I think Werner played 60 minutes at least in both of those matches, for example. So it'd be interesting to see how that affects them. What price was that you're laying them at?
It was 1.68 last time I saw, I think. So
laying at 1.68. Yeah, can't argue with that at all. Stephen, where are you going for your lay?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Hawthorns for my lay. I'm going to lay Leicester at 2.04. We all know the decline they made at the back end of last season. They started the last season in blistering form and gradually just got worse and worse towards the end. I've got written down that across the last 21 fixtures, they picked up the 13th most points in the league. Jamie Vardy's form just did deteriorate, although he did win the Golden Boot to his credit. So yeah, I'm going to go with West Brom and draw and lay Leicester. Although we'll be excited to see how Pereira can get on for West Brom. He was so exciting last season in the Championship, recording the most assists, recording 0.29 assists per average match. And I just think he's an exciting player to keep an eye on this season. And also I've tipped up in my preview for the game, under 2.5 goals. I think it will be a low-scoring game. I don't think either side will want to lose, and I think that could affect it. So yeah, they're my bets for that game.
Perfect. And then, yeah, I'm going to take on another one of the teams that finished in the top 8 last season. I'm taking Arsenal on. They play away at Fulham in what is the curtain raiser of the Premier League season. Fulham were far from impressive last season in the Championship. They finished 7th in our XG table, so we're fortunate to get into the playoffs. But the performances in the playoffs I thought were really impressive. Defensively, especially in that first leg against Cardiff and in the final against Brentford, they were excellent, limited those two teams to very little. And I think that sort of defensive improvement coincided with the reintroduction of Michael Hector, who was signed in the summer but wasn't allowed to play until January. He came in January and Fulham did look a little bit more of a tighter unit. They'll play against a low block against this Arsenal team, and I think that Arsenal, while they are improving, will really struggle to break down that low block. I mean, yeah, they've won the FA Cup and the Community Shield, but both of those are cup competitions, and you know, you can get a lot of luck in cup competitions, whereas over the course of a season, 38 games, you know, the luck tends to even itself out. So in terms of their process under Arteta, they ranked as the 13th best team according to expected goals. Since his arrival, the process at 1.3 expected goals for per game and 1.7 expected goals against per game was the 6th worst in the Premier League during that spell. They did have a tough fixture schedule, to their credit, having to play the likes of Liverpool. But like I said, I think they are well suited to play against those better teams, being able to sit in and counter-attack. You've got the likes of Aubameyang, Pepe, obviously Saka, who've got blistering pace to create chances, and they can be very clinical. But I'm interested to see how they'll get on against Fulham. This is more of a price play than anything. 1.6 for an Arsenal team away from home, who won just 4 times in 19 last season on the road. I just think that's way too short. 1.6, it really is. If they were around 1.9, I think that'd be a fair price. But I'm more than happy to take them on at 1.6. So I will be laying Arsenal at 1.6. Anything else from anyone that they like the look of, that they've seen, that think might be worth an interesting bet?
I'd agree with you, Jake, that I think Barnsley are a good price this weekend. I know you mentioned and touched on their form. They really did stand out towards the back end of last season, didn't they? And against Luton, who were one of the worst teams according to the underlying numbers. I think Barnsley have definitely got a good shot this weekend.
Yeah, just add on about what I said about Mikel Antonio earlier. His numbers are through the roof after the restart. I think it's a pretty good prices, around 6-4 for him to score any time.
Yeah, and I quite like the goals in the Brighton game against Chelsea on Monday. I think that could be quite a high-scoring one. Brighton were, as we've said, really good on the underlying numbers. They created plenty of good chances, but they were far from solid defensively, and that's the same with Chelsea, really. I mean, they brought in all this firepower in attack and then sort of tried to plug the hole at the back with a 35-year-old defender, Thiago Silva. So they're still going to be leaky. Obviously, Kepa's in the net, who, based on our numbers, ranked as the worst goalkeeper in the Premier League. So I think plenty of goals can be expected in that one. I like the both teams to score and over 2.5 goals in the same game multi. That's at 2.05. I think that's a fair price and a fair bet. So that's everything from us this week. Do tune in again next week for our naps, our lays, and any other business regarding football betting. And remember to download the free Infogol app.